Hey guys, Brett Eikenbary, Eikenbary Landscape Company, back with another Pro Tip Tuesday. So in a previous video we leveled this area and it's dried out a little bit now that the sun's hit it, and I wanted to go back and show everybody how we seed. Not that there's only one way to seed, it's just what has worked for us. So this situation here, we do have some clumps. Like I said, if you do want to watch a previous video, that would be awesome. These clumps are just where the dirt had gotten wet. This is a good fine topsoil that you always want to use. But what we're going to do is we're just going to hit it since it's dried out a little bit real quick with the leveling rake again, and then we'll jump into the seeding. All right, once you've got your main area leveled out, you can see there's some clumps and rocks and things like that are going to work their way to the outside. So one thing that we like to do right away when we get going with a seeding project like this is just take a regular soft rake up these edges here. Now, this stuff eventually will dissolve. A little easier just to kind of get it into piles and get it cleaned up before you get started. This side isn't too bad over here. Once you kind of have them in a pile around the edge, just a normal flat shove. It's about easiest to throw them in a wheelbarrow and get them cleared up out of there. Okay. So once the area is to this point right here, there are a few clumps, but I just don't want to keep raking and extending this video. So for the sake of this video, we'll just cut it a little shorter. You can keep working around the edge and get it as clean as you would like. Again, these are just clumps that eventually will dissolve. They're not rocks or anything like that. This is a screen topsoil. So all this will just dissolve over time, the bigger chunks. So next step that we want to do, take a good quality grass seed, and with a small area like this, I'm just gonna sprinkle it in by hand, just like feeding chickens. Just kind of flip it and get good coverage. Make sure all the dirt, and especially around the edges, is covered. So once you've got your seed down, like I talked about earlier, we want soil to seed contact. So what I do is lightly take this rake here and we rake this in. Again, for bigger areas, you're gonna have equipment and specialty machines that can do this if you were gonna be doing a whole yard, or sometimes when we install larger areas, obviously we don't do all this by hand. This is strictly for some small spots, or another time to do this that really works well is if a tree is removed and a stump's ground out. So once this area, all the grass is kind of, seed is raked in the soil, I like to go ahead and just put another layer on. You can even use the backside of the rake. It works good. But it's just important to kind of get that seed worked down into that soil, and maybe even a little bit covered on top of it. 2 more quick steps and you're off to the races. A good fertilizer, what you want to look for is a good starter fertilizer. And I normally just use a couple handfuls. And most of the time, if I'm handling a bunch of it, I'm wearing gloves. Probably not the best just to grab a handful of fertilizer for long periods of time, but for this video, so once you have your seed down, last step is your straw. Now, one thing I want to show you guys really quick, and this is a huge step. If you don't get anything else from this video, pay attention to this. You can actually take a hose and pre-wet your straw. And what this is going to do is when it gets wet, it gives a little bit of weight, and it's going to keep it from blowing all over the place. So you take it, wet it, and that's, once you get a little bit of straw down, that's going to hold in that moisture when you're watering it and keep this area damp. So after you get it down, I would soak it in again. That's normally what we do. And again, we've used straw mat and we use loose straw. If we're using loose straw like this for bigger areas, we always wet it down, and it does seem to really help keeping it in place. We've used just spread it dry, and we've experienced it blowing away. And if you do get some wind shortly after you lay it and before it's been rained on, you're going to lose it. It's going to be in your neighbor's yard. They're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. So just take this extra time and wet it down a little bit and keep this area watered. What we'll do is I'll water this in the evenings, and we'll kind of show you some progress of exactly what happens, and we'll see in maybe 10, 12 days or so, you'll be able to see what we have results-wise. So thanks for watching this Pro Tip Tuesday from Eikenbary Landscape Company. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.